Good evening. Welcome to South Asia Newsline. I'm Surbhi Sharma. Here are the top stories we are tracking for you on Tuesday, the 18th of June. 2 terrorists, 1 soldier killed in encounter in India's Jammu and Kashmir. Pakistanis continue to suffer due to rising inflation. And Afghanistan's president, British Prime Minister discuss Afghan peace process. And now for all the details. Security forces neutralized 2 terrorists and 1 soldier also lost his life in a gunfight in Anantnag district of India's northern Jammu and Kashmir province on Tuesday. The terrorists belong to Pakistan-based Jaish-e-Mohammed terror group, and one of them had a major role in the deadly Pulwama terror attack, officials said.
Two terrorists and 1 soldier were killed in an encounter in Anantnag district of India's northern Jammu and Kashmir province on Tuesday morning. The encounter broke out after the area was cordoned off by security forces based on specific inputs. An Indian Army soldier was injured in the gunfight that ensued and later succumbed to his injuries. The terrorists, identified as Sajjad Ahmad Bhatt and Tausif Ahmad Bhatt, who belong to Pakistan-based Jaish-e-Mohammed terror group, were gunned down in retaliatory firing, officials said. A senior police official said Sajjad had a major role in deadly Pulwama terror attack, which killed at least 40 Indian security personnel in February.
इनका खास बात ये है कि सजाद जो इसमें मारा गया है, सजाद का बहुत बड़ी इन्वॉल्वमेंट जो कार ब्लास्ट 14 फरवरी को हुआ था लिथपुरा पुलवामा में, उसके अंदर जो कार इस्तेमाल की गई थी वो कार इसी के नाम पे खरीदी गई थी और जो कार को आईडी में कन्वर्ट किया गया था उसमें 20 सजाद का अपना ही हाथ था इसी के.
This was the second encounter in Anantnag in less than 24 hours. On Monday, 1 terrorist was neutralized and an army major also lost his life in a similar encounter.
As many as 108 children have died this month from encephalitis in India's eastern Bihar province, an official said on Tuesday. Authorities have said that they are doing everything possible to treat the sick children.
The death toll due to acute encephalitis syndrome or AES in Muzaffarpur district of India's eastern Bihar province rose to at least 108 on Tuesday. Officials said as many as 89 children have died in Muzaffarpur's Sri Krishna Medical College and Hospital, while 19 others lost their lives in Kejriwal Hospital due to the disease, which occurs in seasonal outbreaks every summer. The provincial and federal government authorities have said they are doing everything possible to treat the sick children.
कुल 108 की है और जिसमें कि आज 4 मृत्यु हुई है बच्चों की. कुल अब तक 485 मामले एईएस से संबंधित 485 मामले केजरीवाल एवं एसकेएमसीएच में दर्ज हुए हैं, जिसमें कुल 153 बच्चों को ट्रीट करते हुए उनको वापस घर भेजा जा चुका है. 161 बच्चे अभी वर्तमान में इलाजरत हैं, दोनों ही अस्पताल मिलाकर.
Encephalitis is an inflammation of the brain and is commonly known as brain fever. Symptoms include high fever, vomiting, and in severe cases, seizures, paralysis, and coma. Infants and elderly people are particularly vulnerable. 5 years ago, a similar outbreak killed about 380 people in Bihar, India's third most populous province.
In news from Pakistan, residents across Pakistan have been continuing to feel the pinch due to the spiraling inflation in the country. The Pakistani government last month increased fuel prices and it targeted a sharp hike in tax revenues as it presented plans for next year's budget last week.
Pakistanis have been continuing to feel the pinch due to spiraling inflation in the country. The soaring prices of most commodities have left the residents across the country in despair. A direct impact has been witnessed on prices of essential commodities due to an increase in fuel prices as they are transported via road. The ongoing economic crisis has shattered the people's faith in a government elected last year on a pledge to eradicate poverty and create jobs.
शायद आने वाले वक्तों में जिस अंदाज से बैनुल-अक़वामी सतह से हमारे कर्जे बन रहे हैं, IMF अपनी डिमांड्स पे कर्जे दे रहा है, वर्ल्ड बैंक अपनी डिमांड पे कब्जे देकर पाकिस्तान पे शिकंजा जो है वो तंग कर रहा है, तो मैं समझता हूँ कि आने वाले वक्तों में शायद आवाम के पास फुटपाथों से भी जो है ईद की मसनूआत ख़रीदने की, रमज़ान की मसनूआत या आम ज़िंदगी की मसनूआत ख़रीदने की ताकत नहीं होगी.
Pakistan had secured a provisional $6 billion IMF loan in April, but it is contingent on measures being taken to cut a budget gap. The Pakistani government targeted a sharp hike in tax revenues on June 11 as it presented plans for next year's budget with measures set under pressure for the IMF loan agreement. The rupee has lost about a third of its value this year, and inflation has jumped above 9%.
Afghan President Ashraf Ghani held bilateral talks with British Prime Minister Theresa May in London on Monday. Both the leaders discussed upcoming presidential elections in Afghanistan, Afghan peace process, and UK's support to Afghan security forces. Afghan President Ashraf Ghani met British Prime Minister Theresa May on Monday for bilateral talks at 10 Downing Street. Both the leaders met in London on the same day that a new £170 million 5-year aid package of urgent food, water and medicine assistance for people in Afghanistan was announced by International Development Secretary Rory Stewart. During the meeting, they discussed Afghan peace process and upcoming presidential elections in Afghanistan. Theresa May also renewed UK government's pledge to support the Afghan National Defence and Security Forces, or ANDSF. A statement by Afghan Presidential Palace said that the British PM reiterated that the UK supports a transparent, timely elections and will work with the Afghan government on creating the necessary consensus in the region for enabling peace talks. This comes as the Taliban has set the timeline on foreign forces withdrawal from Afghanistan as a precondition for engagement in intra-Afghan peace talks. The group has so far refused to deal directly with President Ashraf Ghani's Western-backed government in Kabul, which they dismiss as a puppet regime. Afghanistan's chief executive Abdullah Abdullah has said he hopes President Ashraf Ghani's move of releasing prisoners across the country is not an election campaign. The remark comes after Ghani earlier this month announced the release of more than 800 inmates, including members of Taliban.
Almost a week after the Afghan government released more than 400 Taliban prisoners, out of 887 inmates to be released in the near future, Afghan Chief Executive Abdullah Abdullah has said he hopes the move remains to be a goodwill gesture and not an election campaign. Abdullah on Monday also added that the peace process does not belong to a single person, but it is the will of the people of Afghanistan. Earlier this month, President Ashraf Ghani announced to release 887 inmates as per the demands of the Grand Jirga delegates. He has been sharply criticized since then, as some political analysts have claimed it is part of his election campaign, and some military analysts have said the government does not have a clear definition of its friends and enemies. According to Supreme Court's orders, Ghani's extended tenure as president will last up to the upcoming presidential elections scheduled for September 28th.
A group of young photography enthusiasts recently participated in a visual storytelling workshop held on a picturesque houseboat in India's Jammu and Kashmir province. The workshop aimed to enhance creativity among the youth through connection with the nature. A first-of-its-kind visual storytelling workshop, which was held on a picturesque houseboat on River Jhelum in India's northern Jammu and Kashmir province, attracted young photography enthusiasts from diverse backgrounds. The 5-day workshop, called Jhelum Fables, aimed to enhance the creativity among the youth through writing and photography. The workshop was conducted by Dr. Tabina Anjum Qureshi, a noted journalist of Kashmiri origin who is also a recipient of National Award in Photography.
Jhelum has been an inspiration to many, muse to many poets. There couldn't have been a better place than a houseboat on Jhelum to have this workshop happen.
हमें बहुत कुछ सीखने को मिला। यहाँ पे मेरा फ़ोटोग्राफ़ी पहले से शौक़ था। यहाँ पे हमें सिर्फ फ़ोटोग्राफ़ी नहीं सिखाई मैम ने, हमें फ़ोटोग्राफ़ी से एक इमेजिनेशन पहले सिखाई। और वो जो हमारा यहाँ पे सेटअप है जहलम पे, हमारे को कनेक्शन मिला अपने सराउंडिंग से, जहलम से, और अपने फ़ोटोग्राफ़ी से हमें एक क्रिएटिव आई मिली। हमारे को मैम ने गाइड किया कि एक डिफरेंट एंगल से हम कैसे दुनिया को देखेंगे।
The workshop was about observing, imagining and then writing about the photographs captured. The river Jhelum is the heritage of Kashmir Valley and houseboats are considered one of the cultural and traditional identities of Jammu and Kashmir. India's southern Kerala province on Monday felicitated 21 members of the transgender community on completing high school education. The provincial government, through the ceremony, aimed to encourage the community to continue their education.
As many as 21 members of the transgender community were felicitated on Monday by the Government of India's Southern Kerala province after they completed their high school education. Most members of sexual minorities, especially transgender, drop out of school after being bullied or mocked by classmates and in some cases by even teachers. Kerala Education Minister presented the fresh graduates with mementos and encouraged them to continue their education.
ഒരുപാട് സാറന്മാരുടെ ആയാലും സ്കൂളിൻ്റെ ആയാലും നമ്മളെ കൂടെ പഠിക്കുന്ന സ്റ്റുഡൻസിൻ്റെ ആയാലും അവരുടെയൊക്കെ നമ്മൾ ട്രാൻസ്ജെൻഡർ ആയതുകൊണ്ട് നമ്മളോടുള്ള അപമര്യാദയായിട്ടുള്ള പെരുമാറ്റം കൊണ്ടാണ് പകുതി വഴിയിൽ നമ്മളുടെ പഠിത്തം മുടങ്ങിപ്പോയത്. പക്ഷേ ഇപ്പം ഈ സാക്ഷരതാ മിഷൻ്റെ സമുന്നയുടെ തുല്യത എന്ന ഈ നമ്മൾ ക്ലാസ്സിന് തുടങ്ങി നമ്മൾ പഠിച്ച് നമുക്കൊരു ഉന്നത വിജയം കരസ്ഥമാക്കാൻ കഴിയും. ഞങ്ങൾക്ക് സാധിക്കാൻ പറ്റത്തില്ല, നമ്മൾ ഉപേക്ഷിക്കപ്പെട്ടൊരു കാര്യം ഒരു 10-15 വർഷത്തിന് ശേഷം നമുക്ക് പഠിക്കാൻ പറ്റിയത് വളരെയധികം സന്തോഷമുണ്ട്.
The visibly different transgender community members are often frowned upon in India and struggle to get decent education opportunities. Facing sniggers, abuses and bullying, they are often forced to drop out of educational institutions. Adult transgenders are left with limited choices of occupation like begging or prostitution.
Exiled Tibetan Buddhists on Monday offered special prayers at a monastery in India's northern Dharamshala town to observe Sakadawa. The holy month is associated with 3 major events: Lord Buddha's birth, his enlightenment, as well as his passing away. Exiled Tibetans and other Buddhists offered prayers at Namgyal Monastery in India's hill town of Dharamshala on Monday for the auspicious occasion of Sakadawa. According to the Tibetan Buddhist calendar, Sakadawa is the 4th holy month in which Lord Gautam Buddha, the founder of Buddhism, is said to have been born, attained enlightenment as well as passed away. The religious festivities of Sakadawa peak on the 15th lunar day when there is a full moon.
Today, very special day, day of Shakyamuni Buddha, already born and also enlightened, and also Paranibbana, so already passed away.
Exiled Tibetans, mostly followers of Buddhism, fled their homeland after a failed uprising against the Chinese government. Most of them live in the hilly regions of India and are spread all across the world. Well, that's the way it was in South Asia this evening. Before we conclude, the top stories once again. 2 terrorists, 1 soldier killed in encounter in India's Jammu and Kashmir. Pakistanis continue to suffer due to rising inflation. And Afghanistan's president, British Prime Minister discuss Afghan peace process. Now our viewers can watch the show on SouthAsiaNewsline.com. You can also visit us on Facebook.com/SAsiaNewsline and follow us on Twitter @SAsiaNewsline. That's all in tonight's edition. We will see you same time tomorrow. Good night.